I remember before we said, don't step together and then kick, okay? And I mentioned it because it's kind of like taking two beats to do one thing. At the moment, Justin is standing there because, he's my stationary target. But the reality is, in the ring, we've got enough room to build a house. He's not just going to stand there and let me kick it. Well, he shouldn't, okay? And given that we spar in categories of equal belt level and equal kind of experience and age and everything else, then we assume that everything I can do, he can do, and I wouldn't just stand there and be kicked, if I knew it was coming, especially, and neither is he. So, whilst it takes one step for me to get in and then kick, it also only takes one step for him to get out of the way. Okay? So the same amount of time it takes me to get halfway, he can move. All right, so by the time I do my kick, he's no longer there. So whether he moves back, he doesn't always have to move back. He might move diagonally. He might move sideways. So if I go step together, Justin's gone. All right, so that's why I need to try and get it in one move and not in two. In two movements, you're giving him a chance to move. And when you notice your opponent is always stepping before they kick, when they step, you move. Okay? And then you'll never be there. If you move into a position where you can counter-attack, so he steps, I move, and now I can counter because now he's vulnerable for counter. Okay? So again, try to not go step and then technique. Try to go with the one. Okay? When I step, he moves. Same time. As soon as he sees me step, he just moves. Because he knows by the time I get my leg out, he won't be there. All right? And this is why we did those movements at the start of class, moving, because that's all it takes to move off the line. If I'm on this line, I don't have to move all the way over here, okay? I only have to get off the line, okay? If I go slightly off the line, I can come back and reach. If I go too far off the line, then counter-attacking becomes very difficult. If you don't intend to counter-attack, yeah, you can move a little bit further just to get out of the way. If you intend to counter-attack, you only have to move so far as the technique is going to miss, and you're still close enough to come back. Sometimes it doesn't even mean moving your feet. Sometimes you only have to move your body, especially if they're aiming high. You move your body to let the technique go past, and you're still there. All right, so don't jump out of the way. You just shift out of the way, okay, and don't step together kick, okay, or step together jump. Okay, you can do it, but you're giving your opponent a better chance to get out of the way and a better chance to counter-attack. All right, so any questions about that? Does that make sense? Yes, sir. It takes a lot of practice, of course. I don't expect you to get it today. Okay, but if you understand the concept today, right, then you can practice. All right, so we're going to change the kicking, but we're using the same movement pattern. Okay, so maybe I'll go. So this time, so turn that way first. When we were this way, for me to come forwards, the open side is on this side. But let's say Josh changed legs, and so now the open side is not there. So if I was to kick, for example, turning kick or Dolio Chuggy, there's no scoring target for me there. So what a lot of people do is they kick off the back leg. Okay? Kicking off the back leg is great. You can generate lots of power, and occasionally you would do it in sparring where the opportunity presents itself. But a lot of the time, you lead with the front leg. We're talking about sports sparring. We're talking about tournament sparring. Just the same with boxing. Okay, we know this is the harder punch. We know this is the one that can knock them out. But we always lead. We lead quite often with the front, and then occasionally we might mix it up with the back, or we might change targets. And we're the same with our kicking. We use our lead leg like our jabbing arm, if you like, okay? But now that we're jabbing, same as in boxing, I don't always jab the same line, the same line, the same line. I become very predictable, very robotic. So I might change the line slightly, okay? I can change the height. I can do doubles. So if I get a little bit of variation, even with that, okay, it becomes more difficult for the opponent. Okay, so this time, Josh is going to work on the same principle, okay, but we're going to change the kick. So rather than leading with a say, side thrusting kick, side thrusting kick, which was coming here, okay, now Josh is taller than me, so he has an advantage of distance. So if he can use that leg effectively, it's really hard for me to come in, okay, because I've got to come in closer than the range of his leg, okay. So if he has that to his advantage, he should use it, okay. So use whatever is advantageous to you and train it to be really effective. So I go to come in, he lifts that leg, he stops. I train him, lifts that leg and he stops me. Up, and he stops me here. Okay? I still can't reach. And this is only 3/4 extended, okay. If he extends further, I'm moving further away. So he can get in earlier, and he stops me. Not only stops me, he can also score a point. If he puts a little bit of thrust behind it, he scores a point. I get frustrated. If every time I move in, he tags me, then what happens to me? I start to procrastinate. Oh, maybe I won't go this time because last time I got hit. So now I have to change my strategy. So he's getting me to change what I wanted to do. That's half the way to win. Okay, is get the person to have to change what they normally do to do something different. Okay, so if I only know one thing, that's to rush in, and he tags me every time I move, now I've got an uphill battle to win now. Okay, because I've got to think, oh, I've got to try something else. So what he wants to do is also, if I sort of form a strategy around, okay, now I know he's going to lift that leg, so maybe I'll come in differently, okay, or maybe I'll go this way. So now he has 2 or 3 options. So he might notice that when I come in, all my thought is around my legs, and this is a very common thing. When you're kicking, a lot of your focus is on your legs, and you forget what happens with your hands. And I said way back at the start of the class about having hands up. Not critical to have hands up here. But as soon as I come in, my hands have to come up. Okay, if I come in and my hands are still here, I'm begging him to kick me in the head or punch me in the head. Okay, so now when I come in, he notices my hands are always down. Oh, so he goes high. So I go bang, and I get clipped with a hook kick. Okay, very easy for him to do. He just puts his weight on his back leg. He lets me come, and he just slaps me with that foot. He notices my hands are down, bang, he tags me on the way in. If a kick to the body discourages you from moving forwards, a kick to the head discourages you twice as much. Okay? If every time I move, I get slapped in the face, I stop moving. All right? So now he's 3/4 of the way to win. Right? So we're here, up, bang, tag. He doesn't have to follow all the way through. He only has to go tap and then recoil. Now he may follow with his hands, more likely will. Okay, his hands should follow kicks, kicks should follow hands. Okay, never do one technique and stop. He goes bang. I'm still thinking about the kick I just got to the head. He's already hit me 2 or 3 times more. Okay, and it happens that fast. All right. So here, I'm going bang. He's already. Yeah, bang, 1, 2. Okay? He hits me and he follows straight away. If he wants to score an extra point and he notices I'm still reeling from the kick, then he gets himself in the air with punches. So we're here, boom, he jumps and he scores extra points. Okay, if I'm in range, I can't get out of range fast enough because I got one on the head. Okay, and he's already scored more points. Okay, it's a very effective little exercise. So let's try that now. The same thing, lead leg, but we're going to lead with a hooking kick. Okay, all the way around. I just want you to hook and snap it that way. Okay, a little bit like a whip. Just snap it and bring it back. Snap it and bring it back. You've only got to hit the target. Once you hit the target, you don't have to keep going. You don't have more points for going all the way through. Okay. All right, let's go. Hook it.